Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be uncovering some really profound lessons often hidden right there in plain sight. We'll be pulling from an incredible mix of sources. You've got ancient philosophy, modern psychology, and, well, believe it or not, even a children's story about a swing set. Our focus today comes from this collection titled El Arte del Equilibrio, Lecciones del Columpio, and its English counterpart, The Art of Balanced Growth, Lessons from the Playground of Life. Now, these collections, maybe a bit unusually, they weave together this ancient wisdom with really modern observations, and it's all anchored by this deceptively simple metaphor of a swing set.
Yeah, it's actually a testament, isn't it, to how universal truths can pop up in the most everyday experiences, even, like you said, the playground.
Exactly. So our mission today is to sort of extract the practical wisdom from these pages. We're talking insights in the Tao Te Ching right through to Nelson Mandela, all to understand how we can better support growth, in ourselves and in others, find that balance and live with a bit more intention.
Sounds like a great exploration.
And what better way to kick things off than by looking at something as simple but also deeply instructive as learning to swing?
Let's unpack this core metaphor. Watching a child learn to swing. I mean, think about those early moments at the playground.
Well, what's fascinating there is just how clearly the progression of learning to swing mirrors the journey of growth in so many areas of life. Initially, like you said, it's really all about providing that foundation of support, those gentle, consistent pushes, just to help a child get comfortable with the natural pendular motion of the swing.
Pendular motion, that's a great term. For those who maybe haven't thought about it that way, why is that specific motion so significant in this metaphor?
Well, the beauty of pendular motion and why it's so instructive, I think, is its inherent rhythm and, well, efficiency. Once you understand that natural back and forth, you can actually work with it, not against it. You build momentum with minimal effort.
Right, harnessing existing forces. Exactly. In a child's early swings, they're learning to trust that rhythm, to feel safe within it. But, as Ryan Holiday points out in Daily Dad, parents have to figure out the balance between supporting our kids and pushing them. Because you push too hard too soon and they can fly off, literally or, metaphorically. But if you don't push enough, they never really discover their full capabilities. They don't find that confidence to truly soar.
That tension is fascinating. It feels almost counterintuitive sometimes, doesn't it? Our instinct might be to, overprotect or maybe push too hard, maybe out of our own anxieties.
That's very true. But Holiday also emphasizes nobody improves in life simply by remaining where they are. We're kind of meant to grow, right? To discover new heights.
Yeah. And then there's that almost magical moment when they start pumping their legs on their own, setting themselves as high as they possibly can, often higher than you ever thought they would be comfortable reaching. And that isn't just about a swing. It feels like a blueprint for all human development, moving from dependence to self-directed, self-generated growth.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this is where Michael Adell's wisdom, I think, perfectly captures that ongoing mindset. Pleased but never satisfied.
Okay, unpack that a little. Pleased but never satisfied.
Well, it isn't about, constant dissatisfaction or chasing some endless horizon of unattainable perfection. Not at all. Instead, it's about celebrating genuine progress and acknowledging achievements, that's the pleased part, while at the same time maintaining that inner drive, that curiosity, that aspiration to reach new heights.
Well, it's a dynamic balance.
Exactly. It's finding that perfect dynamic balance between contentment and the motivation to keep evolving. If you only focus on being pleased, you risk complacency, right?
Right.
But if you're only never satisfied, you risk burnout and just not being able to appreciate the present moment. It's really about the subtle art of holding both states at the same time.
So this idea of being pleased but never satisfied, it implies this constant recalibration of our efforts and our focus. But in a world that's constantly demanding our attention, how do we wisely choose where to direct that energy, to fuel this continuous growth without just getting completely overwhelmed?
Yeah, that's a huge challenge. We all have finite resources, time, energy, mental bandwidth. And modern life definitely feels like it's trying to grab it all.
It really does.
And that's a crucial question, actually. It's one Marcus Aurelius wrestled with profoundly thousands of years ago. He advised that the attention you give to any action should be in due proportion to its worth. He understood way back then that our time and attention are our most valuable, least renewable resources. And if we spend them on lesser things beyond what should be allowed, we just exhaust ourselves and miss the chance for genuine engagement with what truly matters.
That resonates so strongly with what the psychotherapist Richard Carlson captured in his book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And it's all small
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely.
It's almost like he was channeling Aurelius for a modern audience, wasn't he? Putting that ancient wisdom into this really catchy phrase everyone immediately got.
He really did nail it. Both in their own times are basically saying, look, don't squander your limited resources on things that ultimately don't warrant that level of investment. The insidious danger, the real trap, is that if you give things more time and energy than they deserve, they're no longer lesser things.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah, you've made them important by the life you've spent on them. And this ultimately stole from what truly matters, your family, your health, your true commitments.
Wow. Think about the cumulative cost of that.
Exactly. 1,000 small anxieties over insignificant details can just drain your capacity to show up fully for the big, meaningful challenges. You end up, well, diminished, unable to invest in what genuinely enriches your life.
It makes me think about how tricky this is in the moment, though. It's easy looking back to say, oh, that was small stuff. But when you're in it, a dropped ice cream can feel like the absolute end of the world, especially for a child.
Oh, for sure.
And we see this illustrated so well in the story of Maya, who learns from her mom that crying over that dropped ice cream is a small thing, and she needs to save her biggest feelings for the biggest things.
That's such a powerful lesson, isn't it? Not just for kids, but for all of us. It teaches a fundamental prioritization of emotional energy. And the metaphor of the swing set applies directly here, too. A wise parent doesn't swoop in with intense focus and alarm for every minor wobble or moment of uncertainty when a child is learning.
Right, they stay calm.
They maintain a calm, supportive presence, reserving their most intense focus, their intervention, for moments that genuinely matter. And by doing that, they actually foster the child's own judgment and resilience.
Because if every tiny setback is treated like a 5-alarm fire.
The child never learns to discern what's genuinely important.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about managing our energy and focus. But what fuels that energy? What's the fundamental driver behind truly positive, sustained growth? Especially when we look, bigger picture at the community, it often feels like we're just reacting to negativity.
Yeah.
What do our sources suggest is a deeper, maybe more inherent force?
Yeah, this is where we find one of the most, I think, profound insights articulated so powerfully by Nelson Mandela. He said, "No one is born hating another person because of their skin color, background, or religion. People must learn to hate.
And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love."
For love comes more natural to the human heart than the opposite. That's not just, a hopeful sentiment. It's a really radical shift in perspective.
How so?
Well, it suggests love isn't something we have to somehow force into reluctant hearts, but it's actually our natural default state.
Okay, if love is our natural state, then, why is hate so prevalent? And how do we actively teach love beyond just sort of removing the obstacles?
That's the crux of it. Mandela's insight implies that hate is an acquired behavior, which crucially means it can be unlearned and replaced.
Okay.
So to teach love isn't about rote instruction. It's about cultivating environments that actively foster empathy, understanding, and shared humanity.
So creating the conditions for it to flourish.
Precisely. Promoting connection, celebrating diversity, providing opportunities for people to actually see themselves in others. It's like Osho puts it, don't move the way fear makes you move the way love makes you move.
Move the way love makes you move.
And in Maya's story, her grandmother reinforces this by explaining that love is much stronger than fear. This means approaching development, whether in ourselves or others, with a fundamental trust in that innate capacity, not with fear-based control or punishment or assuming the worst.
Like with the swing set again, it's about providing enough support for safety, but trusting that natural inclination towards independence and mastery.
Exactly. Trusting the natural impulse.
And this naturally leads us to, the true definition of success, especially when you're guiding others. John tells us, there's no one more successful than teachers and coaches aspiring to make a difference in their students' lives. That really reframes achievement, doesn't it? Away from personal accolades towards nurturing growth in others.
It really does. And Nick Saban, a legendary coach, he defines teaching as the ability to inspire learning. It's not about forcing information down someone's throat.
No.
It's about igniting that internal spark, that curiosity.
That's the essence of true guidance, isn't it? Like the parent at the swing set who gradually reduces their pushing, not because they're disengaging.
Right, not at all. It's because they're empowering the child to generate their own momentum. The most effective teaching, the most successful coaching, it comes from creating conditions where others are naturally motivated to grow and learn.
Rather than just direct instruction or correction.
Yeah, it's about fostering that self-efficacy, that self-direction, allowing them to truly own their journey, their learning.
Okay, but before we can effectively guide others, or even ourselves, in this kind of growth, our sources point pretty clearly to integrity as this essential bedrock. And it's not just about doing the right thing, but when and how you do it.
Yeah, Simon Sinek offers a really crucial insight here. He says, we take responsibility for our actions at the time we perform our actions, not at the time we get caught.
Oof, that hits hard.
It really shifts the whole paradigm of accountability, doesn't it? True growth requires honest, immediate self-accountability, owning your choices in the moment, recognizing their impact.
Rather than waiting for external consequences to force your hand.
Exactly. When you do that, you build trust with others, sure, but also with yourself, and you create a clear pathway for genuine learning and improvement because you're engaging with the behavior itself, not just the outcome.
That's a powerful distinction. It means modeling that integrity, like Maya does when she makes amends immediately after accidentally knocking over Sam's sandcastle. She doesn't hide or hope no one saw.
No, she acts to fix it right away. That's a powerful lesson in itself, demonstrating ownership without needing to be prompted.
Yeah.
And this foundation of integrity, it extends beyond just our outward actions. It actually reaches into our inner world, into the very thoughts we cultivate. The idea that we should let your thoughts give hope, guidance, and upliftment to all is incredibly powerful when you think about it.
How so? What does that look like practically?
Well, when we take responsibility for our inner life, our attitudes, our assumptions, the kind of energy we bring to every interaction, we become capable of offering the kind of presence that naturally inspires growth in others. Our thoughts literally shape the environment around us.
Right. Consider the subtle impact of walking into a room with a positive, open mindset versus a negative, critical one.
Totally. The first invites connection and growth. The second just shuts it down.
Right. That's a very practical way to think about it. Maya learns this through that special game her mom teaches her. Starting each day thinking of 3 thoughts specifically to help someone else feel better. And the side effect is it makes her own day brighter. It's a simple practice, but with this profound ripple effect.
It absolutely is. It shows how taking responsibility for your thoughts can be this proactive force for good, not just for others, but for your own well-being too.
It's like every interaction, every internal thought is an opportunity to contribute positively.
Yes, to contribute to that larger tapestry of human flourishing, starting right there with our own internal state. Your inner world is your first and maybe most powerful point of impact.
So as we grow, our relationships naturally evolve, and it can sometimes feel like a challenge to maintain connection when individual paths start to diverge. Elizabeth Foley makes this beautiful observation that really challenges maybe conventional thinking about independence. She says, "The most beautiful discovery true friends make is that they can grow separately without growing apart."
That is such a vital insight, isn't it? Especially in a culture that sometimes pushes for this kind of absolute independence that can actually feel quite isolating.
Yeah, it can.
It challenges the idea that maturity means breaking away entirely or that having different interests somehow signals distance. The strongest relationships, whether it's parent-child, mentor-mentee, true friendships, are the ones that actively encourage and celebrate individual development while maintaining that deep, abiding connection.
Like Maya and Lily's friendship in the story.
Exactly. Where they pursue different interests, but they share them, they find joy in each other's explorations. They're like 2 trees growing side by side. They strengthen their individual roots, even as their branches reach for different kinds of sunlight. Their combined canopy actually becomes richer because of the diversity.
That's a lovely image. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit mind-bending. This interconnectedness apparently goes even deeper than friendships. Our sources bring up this concept from Hildegard of Bingen, the 12th century mystic, who states, "The soul is not in the body is in the soul."
Right.
Okay, what does that even mean for our interconnectedness? And, for an informed audience, What are the practical implications of thinking that way?
Right. That's a statement that truly flips our usual sort of Cartesian understanding right on its head. Most of us, by default, think of the soul or consciousness residing within the physical body.
Mm.
Hildegard suggests a much more expansive, holistic view. If the body's in the soul, it implies that our physical existence, our individual form, is actually contained within a much larger, more fundamental spiritual essence or consciousness.
So we're manifestations within something bigger.
Kind of. It suggests our individual self isn't just this contained unit, but rather a unique manifestation within, perhaps, a universal consciousness or energy. So for interconnectedness, it means every interaction, every act of growth, every moment of support or love contributes to this larger tapestry of human flourishing. Why? Because we are fundamentally spiritual beings having a physical experience, and our individual souls are part of a greater whole.
Wow. So our responsibility extends beyond just ourselves.
Exactly. It extends beyond just individual development to our impact on the collective, influencing how we all grow together, because we're all somehow part of the same grand design, the same soul.
That's a profound way to think about our individual actions having this, like, universal ripple effect. Okay, finally, let's look at some ancient wisdom that seems to tie these ideas together, acknowledging the inherent challenges in growth. The Tao Te Ching, that ancient Chinese text emphasizing harmony with the universe, it states, "Without evil, we would never come to know the good." That powerfully highlights the role of contrast, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It means growth often comes through contrast and challenge. It's not just about things being smooth and easy. The child learning to swing discovers confidence through uncertainty, balance through wobbles, and mastery through awkwardness. Our greatest learning moments, our deepest appreciation for the good, are often found right there in those tensions, in the overcoming of obstacles.
It makes sense. How could we understand courage without fear? Or resilience without struggle?
Exactly. These contrasts aren't really hindrances. They are essential ingredients for defining, appreciating, and ultimately achieving the good in all aspects of development.
Okay, and then there's another fascinating warning from the Tao. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. How does that relate to balanced growth beyond just, material things? It sounds like it's about the dangers of attachment itself.
It's absolutely about the perils of overattachment, not just to material possessions, but to outcomes, to control, to specific ideas of how things should be.
Oh, okay.
When we grasp too tightly, whether it's our child's performance on the swing, or our own career achievements, or even our meticulously planned goals, we often create the very conditions that undermine the growth we're seeking. We stifle it.
So the wise approach is?
The wise approach is to facilitate growth, to provide the conditions for it, yes, but not to try and possess or control it. The swing set becomes a place of discovery and joyous movement, not just a performance evaluation stage. When we hold our investments, whether in outcomes, our efforts, our loved ones lightly, we create the essential space for organic, natural development to just happen. It's the freedom and non-attachment that allows true flourishing.
Wow, this has been a truly profound deep dive into the art of balanced growth. We've really seen how that deceptively simple act of learning to swing can teach us so much about balancing support and challenge, the power of our attention, the natural force of love,
The importance of integrity, the beauty of interconnected growth.
and even the wisdom hidden in contrast and non-attachment.
Yeah.
It's really like a masterclass in miniature, hiding right there in plain sight on the playground.
Yeah, this whole journey, it reminds us that growth is a fundamentally almost sacred responsibility, both for ourselves and in how we guide others. Like that parent at the swing set, we have to continuously recalibrate, learning to read the subtle signals that tell us when to offer support and when to step back and let them fly. We have to take responsibility for our actions in our inner world, hold our attachments lightly, and really try to move from a place of love, not fear. That seems to be how true, authentic, and sustainable development occurs.
So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've talked about balancing that support and push, focusing your energy on what truly matters, choosing love over fear, owning your actions in the moment.
Nurturing connections that allow for separate growth, embracing contrasts as opportunities.
Where can you apply these lessons? Maybe to your own journey, or perhaps to those you guide?
And remember, the lessons from the swing set, they never truly end, do they? We're always learning to find that perfect balance between being pleased with where we are now and remaining open to where we might go next. That balance between acknowledging achievements and still continuing to reach for new heights, knowing that often the best momentum comes from within.
So my provocative thought for you to mull over is this. What swing in your own life Are you ready to start pumping on your own, really trusting in your natural capacity for growth? And maybe just as importantly, how can you help others find their own unique flight without holding onto their handlebars too tightly?
Because, as the sources remind us, every time you help someone else feel happy, hopeful, or loved, you're adding a little more magic to the world. And that magic always finds its way back to you.